Thank you. I would like to call to order the meeting of the Norwalk Public Library Board of Directors for June 9th, 2022. Present are Patsy Brescia, Ralph Bloom, Janie Williams, Laurel Peterson, Mary Mann, Morna Noor, Sharon Benante, Alex Knopp. As members of the board, Sherelle Harris, Executive Director of the library. And did I mention Ralph Bloom?
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe when if Tom Cullen gets on, we'll acknowledge his presence also. So going to the agenda, which unfortunately is dated June 8th, but it's really for June 9th. We've called the meeting to order. Unfortunately, we didn't get the minutes from the May meeting circulated in time, so we can do that next month. Any addition to the agenda people would like to recommend? Okay, any members of the public other than Mary Mann's household here who would like to? If not, then we'll go to the agenda here. So first, on the aquarium project, as you may know, the donor wanted to accelerate the project and move it into the current fiscal year instead of the next one where he had originally proposed it. The foundation agreed to pay for an engineering audit, and that will get circulated. It came back very positive, saying that the aquarium could be located in the children's department. There's a committee that's been formed that includes the donor, Sherelle, Colin from the custodial staff, a aquarium consultant who's going to help select the tank and the fish for the donor. I think Neil, who works for the firm that provides support for maintenance projects, be part of it. And I suggested that perhaps we have a board member participate in that. And I asked either Morna or Sharon, who both have children, who might, be participants in the activities and displays around the aquarium, whether either of them would like to be on the committee. It's not going to be a heavy duty kind of committee, but we can review where the aquarium is being proposed to be located, any of the signage materials, any of the programming, working with Vicky in terms of the children's education. And so I didn't know whether Sharon or Vicky, you had any interest in doing that.
I would be fine doing it. I would be fine if Sharon decided she really wanted to do it. I mean, I think
you can go for it. It'd be great.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be, I'll confirm with the donor who will send you stuff. I think they're going to try to get together around the 15th or so. The donor's preparing his donation letter for the current fiscal year. And that should be kind of well underway. So there will be, as we discussed, he would like a little ceremony when he changes from his prior donations, which have been anonymous, to having some recognition of his family and a small plaque by the aquarium. So that's the update that we have so far. And Sherelle, I don't know whether you and he have discussed any parts of the project for the Sono branch yet, or that's to be decided in the future.
I think after he finishes this one, I know he wanted to be, I think next year, he wanted to donate to Sono since we're so close to the maritime. So the same sort of deal.
Okay. Okay. A second item is the update on the city efficiency report. We want to thank Sherelle for sending us a copy of her responses that we received yesterday. As you may recall, last month, Patsy, I, and Sherelle met with Mayor Rilling, Alicia King, the Chief of Staff, and Lamont Daniels, head of the Community Services Division, to talk about responses to the efficiency study, comments about the library, and the pattern that the mayor's office wishes to use is to have each department head respond first to the comments in the efficiency study about his or her department, and then have responses dealing with the department head and the efficiency study come subsequently. I had tried to find out from Lamont when the comments were coming in so we could plan tonight's meeting, but I didn't really hear till yesterday. I personally have had a very busy day, and I've had a chance to briefly read Sherelle's report. So my thought, decide how you all want to do it, is either we schedule a special meeting, let's say 2 weeks from now, give us time to digest the report and discuss it, and have a special meeting kind of solely about the efficiency study, or schedule it for the July regular meeting and try to minimize any other business. Any preferences about those options?
Can I ask a procedural question? Alex, all the department heads are reporting to their superiors on their report. And then what's the step that the city is taking? Do you know?
Well, I've heard nothing since the meeting we were at, Patsy.
Okay, neither have I. That's why I'm asking. And
Yeah.
maybe Sherelle has Sherelle met with the city? Can we get an update from Sherelle so that we know where this is?
Sure.
So happy to let you know. So right now, this is a working document. Went through it with the staff, with the supervisors, and submitted to Lamont for his approval. Thereafter, I'm assuming he will submit it to the city, and we'll work through the recommendations.
So I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it. You have met with him or you haven't?
I've met with Lamont.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't met with Leisha or Alex. I report to Lamont, he reports
Yeah,
to them.
okay.
So, yeah.
And has he indicated anything about how we participate with this? Was there any further discussion?
I'm assuming from our meeting, I provide the recommendations, Lamont approves it, and then he submits to the city. And, we move forward with the recommendations if everybody approves.
I find that it's confusing. So how do we as a board now interact with that? I mean, where do we fit in? How do we fit in?
So my understanding, based on the meeting that we had, is that we will respond both to Sherelle's recommendations and to the comments in the report in case they address something that Sherelle didn't address, or we want to raise it. As I mentioned, unfortunately, the consultants did not meet with us. So the first we saw of it was their report. But my understanding was that we were, since I had brought it up at a previous meeting, we were to wait until after Sherelle issued her recommendation. And then as a board, we consider those and anything else from the report we wish to discuss.
So we're not going to discuss any of this report tonight? Is that?
We can if you want to. I haven't had a chance to read it very through. I had a very busy day.
Okay.
But if you want to, we can. Or so I'm saying, if we want to schedule a special meeting, so we have some time to, review it carefully, consider it, we could do that. I personally am not prepared to discuss it tonight. Again, I had a.
Yeah. Okay. So when would you suggest we could meet?
Well, I'd suggest sometime in June.
2 weeks is sort of the beginning of the 4th of July weekend. So I don't know how that
Well,
affects it.
what about like the 23rd, for example, which is 2 weeks from tonight, and How does that date strike people?
It's fine with me.
Sherelle, are you free?
I am, I believe, at present.
Okay,
This is really important that we, that we really work on this, because this is a great opportunity
yes,
to improve on what we're doing. So I just hope everybody would be available then to really talk about it.
yeah. What I'm saying
Oh.
is there anybody who would not be available at 7 o'clock on the 23rd? Okay, well, I think that's good to go.
Okay.
So we'll schedule that meeting.
I have some, I'd like some clarification on a couple things. So I read it like in the last hour, within the last hour. I, work all day, so I need to save my time after work to do that. So I'm just starting to read it and digest it. And so Sherelle, so like, are you, Sherelle, Alex, is this a report in which we will give input and you will incorporate that input? Or is it like you're just going through?
It's a working document, so, give and take. So we'll have the discussion and we can have some give and take, and, we'll incorporate your suggestions.
Well, my own view is that, Sherelle, obviously, the key person in this, has the right and the duty to make her own report based on her role. Our role is a little different. So I think we might make some comments that are different than Sherelle's because we have different kind of jurisdictions and duties. I don't expect her to incorporate ours and change hers. So we might want to have a supplemental list of comments from board members, if we agree. And there are a number of issues that Sherelle in her report defers to the board and the city, to decide. And so we may want to, take a position on some of those.
Mhm.
And I'm going to spend a part of the next week or two before that meeting trying to understand some of the position issues. Sherelle's made some interesting recommendations about creating new positions and getting rid of older ones. I don't, have much experience with that. So I'm going to be asking her, the reasoning for it and stuff. But I don't expect her to, just to finish, I don't expect her to change her report based on our opinions. So we might have our supplemental recommendations. And some of them may agree, some of them may disagree with Sherelle.
Alex, you mentioned that, you wanted to get that. I think we all need
Yeah.
to be educated to it all at the same time. So I assume that this meeting in 2 weeks will be an executive session. And we will be going through this, and Sherelle will be explaining or expanding on what she's saying so that we have a clear understanding, or not. Am I misinformed on that?
No, not necessarily. I will ask the city whether we can have the meeting in executive session. As you know, there are limitations
Yes, I do
on
know.
when we can do it. I assume that because we'll be discussing some, personnel matters in terms of job descriptions and creating or eliminating certain types of positions, whether that qualifies for executive session. I think having an executive session would be a good idea, but I have to make sure that we're not violating the FOI law when we do it. So
Yeah,
I will require and let everybody know.
Okay. There was one part, I did have a good opportunity to read it. I thought it was very instructive and a lot of good ideas and a lot of clarification. But there was one thing, Sherelle, you mentioned, and I can't pull it up on my computer while we're talking here at the same time. But more interaction, and I didn't know if that was referring to the branch and the main facility? Or I just wasn't sure what you were saying there.
Are you referring to the rotation of staff?
Yes.
So just so, you know, beginning, we had some debate, you know, some people agree, you know, that we should rotate, others not so much. But if we start with the part-timers, that would be great. And that's just to give, you know, people a chance to work in the other building. If somebody is stationed at Maine, maybe they spend a day, you know, or a week at Sono and vice versa.
I thought that's what you meant, but I wasn't sure. And I thought that was a very interesting idea. I had an idea, and that we don't call South Norwich a branch, that we just find new names. Belden Avenue and South Norwich, period, without being a branch. That I think would
I
be
agree with you on that, Patsy.
I like that.
anyway. So,
Oh, sorry, Patty, are you finished?
yes, I am.
As I was reading it, I was just kind of wondering about the budgetary implications of all of it as well. And I don't know if that's like where that would be discussed, or if that's just like a second step. So
Let me just make sure that I understand your question. Are you referring to the budgetary implication of rotating staff?
just like, I mean, there's a bunch of new positions. There's some you talk about updating some positions. I don't know if that means like
So it's
more
not
salary or.
new positions. They are basically maybe name changes. So right now we have something called technical services. Who knows what that means? So perhaps, you know, having the name technology and processing, it gives you a clear vision of what's being done in that department. For the library clerks, maybe customer service representative, because they deal with customer service. You know, a lot of the positions and some of the names are really dated. So just to give it, you know, we have a chance to do a lot of new things and some innovative things. So they're not new positions as much as they are changes in titles.
Okay, that, I mean, that's helps to clarify that. So basically it's kind of working with what we
What we
with
have.
our current budget with what we have.
Mhm.
So we can get rid of the key operator for the Xerox machine, right?
Oh my God.
Any other questions or discussion about this? Okay, so then we'll do that special meeting. I'll inquire about executive session. Maybe part of it will be, part of it won't be. We'll have to see what the law department says. Thank you again, Sherelle, for circulating that.
Sure.
Surplus furniture. We have very good news, and let me introduce the entrepreneur of surplus furniture, Mr. Ralph Bloom.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, we had a request from our neighbor, the Cornerstone Church across the street, and they took all the upholstered furniture, the settees and the armchairs, and working with, I'm waiting a decision now from Pastor Abel and also from Mrs. Francesca Nunez, who is in charge of the programs that they run. They've been renovating the parish hall. It's going to use more money for teaching. And they've been working on the building, bringing it up to code. And as Mrs. Nunez pointed out to me, they have a building, but they have absolutely no furniture. They're going to use it for classroom use. They're going to be helping immigrants learning English. And they've been looking at the side chairs in particular. They may want as many as 60 of them, which we have plenty of them. And so I'm waiting on an answer from them now. They're finishing up the building. They have to complete the flooring and the last paint job, and then they're ready. So I'm just waiting on the amount that they would like. But that still leaves about 24 chairs in storage. We do have a particular problem because, you know, it isn't that we have just what's in storage. the entire lower level at the library is still oak furniture. The people, our public is still using it. The furnishings in the Social Security office that's used also as a study room, that's still all oak. And the history room is still oak. So we have really quite a lot of it. There's probably another, maybe another 25 or 30 pieces that we'll have to find a home. But right now, we have no other furniture on the lower level. So it is in use. But I'm concentrating on the ones that are in storage, so the chest room can be opened up again and put back to use.
Wait, question for Ralph. First, let me just say thank you for all of us for your efforts to move the furniture out of the library and finding a very suitable donee. And I think that's worked out well all around, a real win-win. So Ralph, thank you very, very much.
If anyone, if you know anyone who needs at least another 2 dozen chairs, please let me know, because we got them and they're all in great condition. But if you have any other nonprofit, that's what I've been careful of. Being city property has gone to nonprofits. So if you know of anyone, please let me know.
Well, thank you again, Ralph. It really worked out. Any questions for Ralph?
Yeah, I have a question or a statement for you and the board. As I brought up last week, the furniture belongs to the city of Norwalk.
Yes.
And we have to follow the correct procedure. And when we say we, Ralph, when you're saying we, are you talking about the trustees or are you talking about the friends? And wait, let me finish, okay, please? This is really significant. And it is the kind of thing that the Evergreen focuses on. And it is something we have to straighten out and understand the real role of our board. And this is, I think it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to help people and our neighbors. And I'm totally think that's a wonderful thing. But I have a serious problem with procedure. And we are now trying to correct things moving forward into the future. And we have to be cognizant of our role. The furniture is city property.
Patsy, I'm well aware it's city property. It's been in the building for 40 odd years. But the fact is, I work through the city clerk. She's checked other agencies. We especially tried to find out if they can use any chairs out of Cranberry Park in the Gallagher Mansion. There's been no answers. We've been dealing with people that also get involved with the other agencies, but there's been no reply.
Okay,
There's
but when
been
you
no
say,
request from them.
Ralph, you haven't reported that piece to us until just now. So if you work through the city, that's one thing, but that's my concern, that we follow city procedure. And when you use the pronoun we, it is, have you been appointed to represent the board to deassess this furniture? Or are you doing it as friends? That needs to be clear. And it's not.
That was the impression. I'm a board member and that was the request. I mean, if you want, we can stop doing it and it'll just be storage.
We just need to do it the right way. So Alex, I don't know how you can straighten this out for us.
Patsy, I worked for the city for nearly 30 years.
I know you did,
I
Ralph.
know the procedures. I double checked and there's been no desire elsewhere. It gets harder and harder to even find the nonprofits who even need it.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to get us to the point where we have the chest room back as a viable space within the library. Because don't forget, right now, you also got the Social Security room. It's still furnished in oak. You still have areas where the furniture is all in use. We haven't replaced it yet. But right now, there's 82 chairs upstairs in the chest room. And that eliminates the room from being used for other purposes. And
Well, I'll
it's been
inquire.
a year and a half.
I'll inquire of the law department, the city process for disposing of surplus property. And
So I've already done that. So the process is we speak to purchasing and purchasing can assess whether or not there's something they want to keep in storage or something that we should just throw out. So the process goes through the city. The purchasing agent decides whether it's something we want to keep. I know right now they're having the same issue as the library as far as storage. And they're looking actually for off-site buildings to store things. But the process is that we begin with the purchasing department.
Have we done that with these chairs?
Obviously not.
I checked.
Well, that's what we need to do in order to follow the right procedure, and then we're free to give them away.
Well, at this point, we just put a hold on everything then. It means the chairs have been sitting there for almost 2 years. And they'll just have to sit there longer, that's all.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I think it was Sherelle who brought it up that, we
Yes.
need to get rid of the chairs because
Right.
obviously that would, and
So,
that's.
so I did bring it up, but I deferred to the board. The board decided that they wanted to follow the other procedure, but I did find out what the correct procedure is. But
No,
yes, we do need to get rid of them because we have the Social Security Administration who needs to come in, but those chairs have been taken out of that room to make room for the Social Security Administration. They are in the back of the library where they were stored previously. We do need to get things out of the chest room so that we can have, the full auditorium if we need it.
So why don't we leave it as like this? So I have to say, this is the first I've heard of the policy. Why don't we have Sherelle contact the purchasing department, come and assess these chairs. If the city wants to store them, ask them to do it expeditiously. If the city feels they're surplus that should be disposed of, I would suggest that we delegate Ralph to try to find a suitable donee as a nonprofit. And after a reasonable amount of time has gone by, if that hasn't occurred, we'll decide what to do.
Fine. In the meantime, we're neutral and we're not getting anything done. City government doesn't work that fast. These chairs are gonna be sitting for quite a while. And like I say, by the way, I look, the Social Security room is still furnished without it. Without it, you don't have anything to sit on. And the entire lower level in the library is still oak furniture. The history room has oak furniture in it. We must have 100 pieces of it in the building. And, but this is news to me. I thought the board had the authority. I was asked to find, and that's exactly what I've been doing, looking for a legal nonprofit to take over.
Okay, well, as I mentioned, we'll do the procedure I outlined going forward.
Okay.
So Ralph, there's no need for you to do anything at the moment. We'll wait for Sherelle to get purchasing over to make a decision. And then based on their assessment, we'll decide what to do.
And it could
And let's
possibly be a quick assessment too, because it's
Yeah.
so old. She may just say, get rid of it, but I will give her a call.
Right. And Alex, you mentioned this is the first time you heard of it. It's with the minutes from last month, I brought up the same exact issue.
No, you
So,
brought up the issue. I agree, Patsy. You brought up the issue. It's the first from Sherelle we've heard about what the proper procedure is.
Okay.
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's great.
And I
correction.
inquired after
The
this
meeting. Yeah.
after
Okay.
the last meeting. So.
All right.
But very happy though. Val, we appreciate Ralph's efforts because we definitely need to get, rid of the chairs. So.
Space is important for sure. So we should definitely move along on that.
Good. Any further discussion about this? About moving the deck chairs? Next, item D, just so you know, on Tuesday from 4 to 8 at the Wall Street Theater, the city will be hosting a kind of charrette to discuss its plans for improving the pedestrian safety and vehicle mobility in the Belden Wall Street intersection. That includes Mott Street, and therefore is in Belden, of course, and great interest to the library. So anybody is welcome to attend. I believe they're going to be having presentations from the mayor, Bob Duff, the city's mobility and traffic director, and perhaps some other presentations. And there'll be, I believe, refreshments at the beginning. I'll be there through 6:30 because I have another meeting to do. But I invite all of you to attend. And if you're not able to attend, we'll try to arrange either from one of us or from other city staff a summary of what goes on, because this is obviously very important to the library. And Sherelle is showing some of the, if you go on the
city.
traffic and mobility department website for the city, you'll find the Wall Street project link, which describes the area, talks about the plans, and describes kind of the agenda for Tuesday. So Tuesday, 4 to 8, my guess is with refreshments and stuff, the business won't start till around 5, but I just like everybody to be aware of it. Next, since we've enjoyed talking about furniture so much, I thought I'd bring it up again. Other people have expressed to me, and I have gone and seen it, and feel that we need to start planning for improving the appearance and utility for patrons of the area. I can only describe it on the first floor as adjacent to the Blue Teapot. Currently, there are 2 or 3 tables with plastic chairs that to some older people don't seem very inviting. A lot of empty space that looks vacant rather than planned empty. So wanted to ask Sherelle if we could set up some planning process or discussion with you and the board about that area.
Sure.
I don't know whether the furniture acquisition through the ARP money from the federal government, I know you've purchased some furniture for the Sono branch, the Sono library repurposing project. And I know there are particular types of furniture that are post-COVID recommended, but I think the area needs some attention because it right now just looks deserted. And
This is the first I've heard of it, so I don't know.
Okay.
If I'm saying this to you or whomever, but nobody has ever mentioned any of this to me. But I'm more than happy to look into seeing if we can get ARPA funds. But it would really be great too if staff is reporting this, that they're also reporting it to me too.
And with that, I would like to say, I'm not sure why we are following what the Blue Teapot. They're reserving the service from us. So I don't think we should be.
I don't think it's the
trying
Blue
to,
Teapot, from my understanding, is it the library area, right, Al?
Yes.
It's the library area, but I don't agree with trying to follow what the Teapot, I don't agree with that. They are reserving the service from us. So only thing they need to be concerned with, I want to get this on record, is their section. And anything that has to do with anything else, that is the staff should be contacting Sherelle. And it should not be where we're nitpicking. That's how I feel like what you're doing, you're nitpicking. So I just want to get that on record. You need to stop doing that.
But I'm happy to look into seeing if we can use ARPA funds to improve that area. I'm assuming, because no one has mentioned that to me, but I'm assuming that perhaps we want to have continuity of the chairs that I purchased before. The chairs that we got before, I got that from a separate grant than the city. That's something I applied for. But I can check with the city to see if we can have, or talk to Cindy Leahy if she chooses to speak with me, to see if she wants a continuity of the chairs that we purchased prior.
Okay, and I was suggesting the ARPA funds as a possibility. I don't think that we need to necessarily limit ourselves to that since we have also other opportunities to make requests in the capital budget. Okay. F, at the meeting with the mayor, we agreed to move forward with the hiring of a Sono branch manager, and just asking Sherelle, is there any update?
So we are setting up the interviews, and hopefully we'll have a branch manager in place sometime in July.
The South Norwalk manager.
Correct.
Thank you so much. You know, I am just so glad to hear that everything has been approved and that we are moving forward, because I really think it's unfair to Sherelle as our director that she's holding down 3 jobs, running back and forth from one library to the other. And I am one of those people who I really want a branch manager down there, a manager that's going to be there, you know, and that's going to assist so that Sherelle can do what she needs to do uptown. So I'm just so happy to hear that that is moving forward.
Have we advertised and have we gotten a number of responses?
Oh, what happened is we did advertise, but then the board put a stop to it. So we were very fortunate that some of the people that we were interested in are interested in interviewing. We did have one person that let us know that, you know, very emphatically that it's been 6 months and, you know, her position had changed. However, she will interview with us.
Yeah, but
So yes, it was, to your point, it was
Okay.
advertised previously, and we had gone through, you know, the selection process, but we had not contacted anyone because there was a stop. And then after our meeting with the mayor, it was agreed that we would move forward.
Okay, but we didn't re-advertise.
No, thank God, no.
Sherelle, I've not been involved in this kind of discussion in the past, so I don't know the answer to this question. Is it customary to invite a board member to sit in on any interviews for this kind of position?
I've not seen it in the past.
Okay.
I've seen where we've invited maybe an outside, you know, another librarian, you know, who
Up here.
Yeah, I've seen that, but I've never seen board members get involved in interviews.
Okay.
I
Just to
just
be
had a
clear, sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry, Alex. That's great. You're getting a branch manager. That's really great. I just had a quick question, Sherelle. I was just, when I was looking at the org chart, are there a lot of other jobs at the Sono Library that still need to be filled? Because I think it looked like there was a lot of holes. And am I allowed to ask that? How's that going?
One full-time position that I think it will be, you know, customary to allow the branch manager to choose that person. Or, you know, we interview together, but I didn't want to just move forward since it's going to be their baby. So there are the biggest position that we're having a hard time filling is the library assistant. So we did discuss that as we were going over the response to the efficiency study and thinking that we may want to alter some of the requirements when we, you know, update the positions, which we did. We started, and actually we did update positions back in 2019, 2020, but, you know, nothing ever came of it. So this is a great opportunity to actually just take a quick look at it again and then submit.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Just to be clear, the board didn't put a stop to hiring a branch manager. What we did was inquire about the decision to have a branch manager as opposed to an assistant director. And others put a stop to the hiring, which I found out about subsequently. But hopefully that this discussion of the efficiency report gives us an opportunity to request that both positions be filled, and we're moving ahead now with the branch manager. Okay. We had asked that money be put in the budget for some Sunday hours, and I'm curious whether, Sherelle, you've had a chance to think about how that would work and what a schedule might be.
We would love to. Right now, we're working on staffing.
Okay,
and making sure, and some of, that was addressed in, well, no, actually it wasn't, I'm sorry. So staffing, we really need staffing. We'd like to open the main library another night and even open Sono another night. In the past, the main library was open 4 nights, Sono 1, and it would be great to have Sono have another night and have, so 2 and 2. But we staffing, we need the staffing to do so.
okay. And what about Sunday hours?
Oh, I thought that's what we were talking about,
No, you just mentioned about evening hours.
in addition to Sunday hours.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So maybe next month we'll get a better sense of,
Hopefully we can get, it's been a little bit slow with, getting people on board and getting the positions out there. So hopefully, and if not, July, hopefully August. Oh, I think we don't have August meetings. So hopefully July, we can
okay,
shoot for July.
really. I'm really thinking of in terms of when the school year starts.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's important to do it.
So,
Okay.
just for clarification, how many people would you need to hire in order to get Sunday hours and evening hours back? I mean, aside from the branch manager position.
Quite a few, well, notwithstanding the branch manager, but I would think somewhere between 6 and 12.
Mostly part-time people or?
Mhm. Because we still have passports as well. So, yeah. And then the problem too is we have, which needs to be addressed, we have some staff members who are out. And, so we can't, and, Mom made that clear, we can't hire willy-nilly just because you have somebody on maternity leave or somebody's, out sick. We have to make a decision as to whether the person is coming back, 1, and 2, if they can do their job adequately, so that we're not just hiring. So that's something else that needs to be addressed. I'm sorry, Patsy.
That's okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Next item H. So I was approached by Stuart Wells, who's the Democrat Registrar of Voters, who informed me that they were thinking of closing St. Mary's as a voting site. And he asked me, would the library consider becoming a replacement site for St. Mary's? I said I had no idea, and I would bring it up to the board. Without knowing anybody's feeling, I didn't ask him much about the details. So I think part of a discussion tonight is whether we want to, authorize Sherelle to talk to Stuart and find out what their needs would be, how many machines it would be, where they might be located based on Sherelle's management expertise. But, it did seem to me that the library, fortunately, is a trusted community site and is one where, we're widely viewed as a neutral meeting ground. And if it were possible to do it without disrupting all the other activities, that'd be something that the board might want to consider. So I've done nothing to advance it other than to present it to you tonight as a possibility to explore.
I'd like to comment. I vote at St. Mary's. I don't know if anybody else does, but that's where I vote. And so I think it's a great idea for the library. My concern is parking. And that needs to be thoroughly vetted with the city to figure out how that could work.
Right.
Because you can get in and out of St. Mary's with no problem at all. And
Right.
there's a lot of seniors that vote there. So that's something we got to really look at carefully.
That's a very valid point, Patsy.
Thank you.
And I'd be curious, I don't know, Sherelle, in your network of libraries or librarians in Connecticut, like if libraries are commonly used as polling places. I mean,
I just wrote that down to find out.
okay,
Yeah,
because I mean, there may be reasons why libraries haven't, I don't know, it just seems like we would know if libraries were common polling places, and maybe there are reasons why they aren't.
No,
So,
I'll ask. As a matter of fact, in responding to the efficiency study, I had a great time meeting with very objective and innovative thinkers across the country and some, locally. So it was really great getting lots of feedback and seeing what other people are doing. So I'll add this to the list.
But on that also, the fact that the building, it's a city library building, it's not a private entity, so that might make a difference between whether communities have or haven't. So that's another factor too.
Right.
you mean being like a municipal
Yeah,
library
it-
versus like a
yeah,
nonprofit? Yeah.
Yes,
Fair
yeah. I don't know if it has an impact, obviously St. Mary's is a private entity, not a public, not a, city-owned building.
Patsy, just curious as to parking. So we have the library parking lot, but then we also have First District. Do you think that's not enough?
Well, I think it has to be, and it's the traffic pattern in and out, it's just, it's complicated. So it needs to be addressed and vetted, so I just think it's an important discussion to have.
Why don't we suggest that Sherelle meet with Stewart, and I forget the name of the Republican registrar who replaced Ellen Wink. And if they think it's useful, maybe we can invite them to meet with the board in our July meeting and, go over any additional questions.
But also the Eagles parking lot could be approached,
Yeah.
so then there would be plenty of parking.
And they've been phenomenal neighbors. They've been phenomenal neighbors.
Yeah,
That's
but
a
anyway.
really good idea.
Yeah, and that could be really interesting too, as far as like running some voting programming as well concurrently, just to get the word out to vote and to let people know how easy it is, and it could actually be really well done. Good idea, Patsy.
The Eagles could offer drinks to people who come. And,
All right, settle down, Alex.
oops, this is not Alabama. Sorry. Okay, so Sherelle, I'll let Stuart know that I brought it up and that he should expect some call from you.
Okay. Maybe we can do a Zoom if you're available,
Okay,
or a conference call.
yeah, okay. Okay, finally, last item I have is the scheduling the elections of the library board officers. So it seems to me the two possibilities are either we do it as part of the special meeting in 2 weeks, or we do it at the July meeting.
Well, it's supposed to be June, right? Not is by our bylaws.
Our bylaws don't mention when it happens, as far as I know.
Oh, okay. I don't think it should be in a special meeting. I think it should be in a scheduled meeting.
Okay. Well, is July okay to do it? Okay. If there's any other suggestion or change, I'll entertain suggestions. So that's all I have. So Sherelle?
Okay, so had quite a few tragedies across the country. So I took a look at our safety procedures. So one of them, I emailed the police station to see if there's a possibility that we could have staff training on active shooters, but I was told that they don't do that anymore. Cindy Levy shared a really nice guide that provides an overview of how to handle the situation, and I found a link, to share. So we'll start with that. But I also, there's a gentleman who gives these trainings across the country. He's also written, for one of our library quarterly reviews. And, it might be nice to have someone come and just assess our buildings in particular, as opposed to going with generic, you can do this, but somebody who can really look at everything and assess the building. He is, I think I shared with you all. So can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is the document that I shared that sort of gives you an overview of what he does. And basically, if he does it via Zoom, it's normally 4 hours. If he does it in person, it can be 4 to 6 hours. And he basically, and if he does it in person, we'd have to pay for his travel costs. But he would just give us an assessment for both of our buildings. And what I like is that he doesn't make it traumatic when he's giving, advice on how to handle active shooter. He make it's a little lighthearted. People are already stressed, so he doesn't add to the stress. He does a 15-minute run high drill with everyone. And so it's just something else that I considered that we might do.
Is he in Springfield, Montana?
No, he's in, I think, let's see, Missouri.
Missouri. And so the travel costs would be from there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And is this something we could put we'd have money in our budget, or is this something that the foundation might have to finance, or what?
The foundation, we don't have the money for this fiscal year to do it. I can look to see, I don't even think we have it for next because we've already planned that budget already. But for the Zoom, it's 3,500, and then for the in-person, 3,500 plus his travel.
Well, I'm sorry, did you circulate this document to us?
Mm-hmm.
Could I ask when? I just don't recall.
Oh gosh, maybe a week or two ago.
Okay.
Did anybody else get it?
You sent it with other stuff, right?
Yeah.
It was, in a memo.
Yeah.
Because the only reason I ask is because sometimes things they're in my, I think I sent, and they're in my drafts.
Well, can you resend it?
I most certainly can.
It sounds like a very interesting and important thing to do. And how have you had any feedback from personnel, how they feel about something like this?
No, I'm thinking I sent it to Lamont. I need to have that conversation with him as well. I did have the conversation about, with the police. That was the first thing, trying to get them over.
I mean your staff. I mean the library staff.
I did, but they weren't necessarily interested. But as the leader, I think that we should have something that's specific, to our library, and not something that's just generic. And to that same point, I had the panic buttons tested, and so they came through fine for the Sono library. When they tested, we were able to tell which one was the first floor, which one was the basement. At the main library, not so much so. So I have a technician who's coming out tomorrow to address that concern.
Good for you.
At the main library.
Yeah.
So is the city doing anything about this?
They probably are. I just may not be aware of it, but I'm sure they are.
Could you inquire to see if there's some way to piggyback on what the city's doing? And the police department doesn't do any of this kind of?
The email that I received initially was that they were going to check to see if anyone was available. And then the second was that they don't do it anymore, and they sent, and I believe they sent the links that they sent as well. So they gave us some links, but I guess they're not doing it
And would the 3,500 be for each facility or for both of them together?
together.
I mean, it does seem like this, I mean, it should be a coordinated city event. I mean, similar to like our response to COVID or anything like that, it should be kind of a top-down initiative. And also, I mean, I'm sure this guy's great, but like, it does seem like experts should vet this type of because I know from working in a school that there are different approaches to these types of situations also. And anyway, it would seem like
I would love to have that, but we have to
city
do
would-
something. So I don't have a problem. I tried the police department. So I don't have a problem. I would love to have this coordinated, but it needs to be done. And when I looked specifically for somebody who's done this for libraries. But I agree, if the city wants to do something, that's great.
So the first step is to check with Lamond, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree too with what Patsy and Moina are saying, just because having like that local approach as well is
No,
really
it's
important.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the city should.
Cost sharing and all of that, but I just, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
today, you just never know. It's really sad, what's going out there, and you just never know. One was premeditated.
frightening.
Person
It's-
drove 3 hours to kill people. Obviously all of them are premeditated, but at the same time, you just don't know people's triggers, what might trigger. So, hopefully
Yeah.
nothing will ever happen, but we want to be prepared.
Yeah, and the other thing is with those sort of programs is sort of the see something, say something training as well,
Mhm.
that you can prevent it before, because like 9 times out of 10, they're already in the library a lot and they're already doing things that are suspicious. Anyways, okay.
I think that's one that was in one of the links
Absolutely.
that was sent by the police station. I think that was mentioned in there too. So I think whatever we can do, I think.
Thank you, Cheryl. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank
Great.
you.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and thank you for making sure that everything that we have actually
It's
works
working.
or doesn't work, because you always hear of those situations where it was like the one camera that
Yeah.
I guess in the subway, that was the case, or so
Yes.
that's important.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
Can you give us an update on the Narcon training piece too?
Oh, yeah, we had a few more people attend. Actually, I can circulate the documents, that we received too. I intended to do that. But, it was nice. We had a few more people than I had originally emailed sign up, and each department was covered in both the Narcan and the suicide prevention training.
So it's done? It's been done?
It's done.
Wow, great. Thank you.
And I sent everyone the links in case,
Yeah.
anybody wanted to join too. There were
Yeah,
some options. Yeah,
thank you.
welcome. And let's see, panic buttons, I have that. Fire drill, I'm working on the fire drill. The last fire drill we had was 2017. There were some recommendations that were made. So working on those recommendations and then scheduling a fire drill.
At both sites.
Oh, without a doubt, anything I do will be at both
Yeah.
sites. And so the only other thing is the Sono repurposing project. We met on Monday and we're set to move forward. Alan and Neil came, but because it wasn't mechanical, Alan didn't see his involvement in it. Neil will be involved as he was in the very beginning when it comes to the electrical, working with SNU on the lighting. The only piece because we're paying an additional fee for this service for the new fiscal year, we just have to determine whether it'll be via contract or purchase order. I'm almost sure it will be purchase order, but I just have to make sure that purchasing is okay with that. But other than that, we're all set. The next steps will be, I guess we'll determine dates.
Sherelle, I'm sorry, I just don't know what that project is. I'm too new.
They're too new, so it's a let me see if I can pull it up. Oh, no, I think I may have it here. So it's basically a repurposing project. We had started, we actually, with, I think Alex or Patsy had us meet at Westport when they were redone, and the way they did their space and their furniture, they can repurpose at any moment. So you're not having this bulky, heavy furniture. Just say someone may need, you know, a small space or a big space, they can easily move the furniture. So we had a summer repurposing. We started with the auditorium, which is, you know, it looks nice, the teen room, but we thought, you know, the children's room is okay, but the first floor of the summer library needs a lot of love. And so we asked for additional funds in our capital budget, and we received it, and we enlisted the help of designers. Let's see, Sharon was on the team, Mary Mann was on the team, as well as David Westmoreland, who is the head of SNU and also the Historical Society, and he has a phenomenal eye when it comes to, I mean, this guy just blows me away when it comes to decorating and just, oh my God, I'm so in awe of him. So anyway, we vetted, I think, 4 different designers, and this particular designer was chosen because they have the familiarity with the city and working with our city buildings. And we just thought they got us. And when I saw the design, they really did listen. Let me just see if I can quickly pull it up.
While you're looking that up, Laura, another nice aspect of this is that the second taxing district is donating or financing the electrical work. You know, they do own the building, but they're being very generous.
Yeah, they've always been very, I just really enjoy working with them. Not a lot of politics involved. They just really want to help. If they can, they can. If they can't, they can't. But they've always been very, very, very supportive. And then also Lamont Daniels has money, ARPA funds, out of the Community Services Department that he's putting forth for the furniture. So those two combined, you know, lowered our costs.
But it's adding the computer stations that don't really exist on that first floor, inviting ones at least.
Great, thank you. I just appreciate the overview.
I think I have a quick, if I don't lose everything. Let me just see if this is it.
Well, maybe you can send it to her.
Yeah, no, I found it. I'll just do it very quickly.
Getting there. There we go.
This is it here. So this is where the debate is. And I'll show you the other, whether the wood will be dark or light. And at this point, you all can choose as long as it gets done. I don't care. But this is, let me just get this. So this would be with the dark wood, which is similar to what we have now, but they will restore like the original plaster. They will clean up, you know, the woodwork and polish it or whatever it's called. And here, you know, this is what we learned from COVID, is to have the plexiglass between the stations, and it's frosted. So there, you know, it's not clear. There's a semblance of privacy. So this is what would be considered the computer area. And this area, the reading room. And so here, you know, is where we would have the magazines and things. Right now. It's just, I can't wait until we get this, but this is where they would have the magazines and newspaper. And lately, we're getting a lot of senior citizens in, and it would just be great for them to have a nice area that they can sit. Right now, it's not so great, but something they feel good about, you know, coming into soft seating, a lot of seating like here, they'll have the natural sunlight here, and then these 3 windows, and you can't see the other one on the other end, on the opposite end, but this will be where we will have the private seating for people who bring their own devices. And so we'll have lots of, you know, outlets there, and separation as well with the plexi. So if someone sneezes, it's not going on to the next person, and, you know, germ barriers. So, so this is it. Patsy doesn't like the furniture. So again, you all can choose. As long as it gets done, I am okay.
It looks a little harsh to me.
Yeah. And then, so this is the dark floral. And then this one. Can you see the new screen, or do I need to reshare?
You have to rotate it.
Yeah, okay, so you can't see it. So can you see the lighter furniture? Yes?
Yes,
Okay. So that's.
I love the dark. Dark is so beautiful against that white wall. That's gorgeous, Sherelle. Awesome.
So, yeah, so that's
Thank you.
it. But actually, the architects, they listened to, you know, everything we had at both libraries. Actually, we had, you know, we interviewed and spoke to the public many years ago, and some of that, you know, I relayed to them, and I have to say, they did not disappoint, except for some of the furniture that you all and Patsy can work on.
Yeah. This-
So that's it.
Thanks.
And I think that is, oh, and we recently had our carpets cleaned in both buildings, and windows, interior and exterior, cleaned in both buildings.
Good, thank you. How are could I ask, what's the status about the auditorium repurposing in the Belden?
Yes, thank you. So we will have that done. We pushed it back so that we could have the auditorium for summer reading programs. And so it'll take place now mid-August through the end of September.
Okay,
So we're almost there.
okay. Just a curiosity, is there any programming planned about the outdoor summer concerts?
I haven't heard from Cindy as yet, but I can check with her.
Okay, I think it'd be good, yeah, if we can publish a schedule as soon as we know, so people can plan. I know those have been very popular and
Yes,
be outside, and won't be a COVID problem, and we have our new charging station, and
and it's being used.
good, looks great,
Yeah, it does.
good. Okay, any more questions for Sherelle? All right, if not, any old or new business, or should we go right to the get off and go to the foundation meeting, which I think would be quite brief tonight?
You know what I'm gonna ask. What's the status on the furniture?
Furniture. I haven't gotten an update yet from Cindy and Vicky. Actually, you know what? Because sometimes things go to my emails are just weird these days. But I don't think I've gotten an update from them yet. But I will make sure to have it for the July meeting.
Okay.
So
I know you have a lot on your plate. I see that.
yeah, no, but it's okay. That's the fun stuff. And plus they're doing it, so.
I was there on a Saturday and all the chairs, every chair was taken, so. And I also want to say that I was there on a Saturday morning, and for some reason the door wasn't open, even though the library was open. Is the main door? I just wanted to make sure, is the main door always open? Like everybody, like the people who knew went around to the other side, and the people who didn't know were just like confused because there was a chess tournament there. And so I just was wondering if there was
Yeah,
some,
for traffic reasons, it could have been for traffic reasons, just
Oh,
to have the
okay.
kids in and out, and then after the tournament, have the doors open.
oh, okay. Yeah, that was. So I have my thing. I also was wondering what the status of the survey is. So-
I'm glad you said that, because I haven't looked at that. Let me just see something. I wish I had the time.
Because I think, I mean, that the way we geared the questions really can help inform, our decisions as we move forward. So,
I got a notice last week that the seeking opinions for the survey.
Yeah, there's, so it looks like there's 348 responses. And so I think I would like to get a little bit more. I'm not sure how much I'll get over the summer. I know it was sent out through the school board. They sent it out. I'm not sure, it's probably too late to ask them to resend. I guess we can resend it. Is this something that we can revisit maybe July or even September? I'd love to get more than 348 responses, but we can certainly go through them to see,
Yeah.
what's what.
I just remember from last time, when we had the consultants, we had 8,000 responses on that survey. And that was like, I was like, just was blown away because that's like 10% of the city's
Yeah,
population.
but what they did, they entered, they had little focus groups and things like that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
398, that's not much, but this is interesting. Yeah. Glad you brought that up. I every day I intend to go in, but I just haven't had a chance.
Alrighty, anything further? Okay, the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And you know what? You guys can't see the screen, right? Or could you?
No, we can't.
Oh my God, let me just quickly show you. I'm sorry, I thought that I hit share. Hold on one second.
Alex,
Yes.
I think we forgot to approve the April special meeting minutes.
Yeah, we're going to try to do both next month, Sharon, because I didn't get a chance
Both?
to
Okay,
circulate. And I wanted to recirculate April because sometimes it's hard for people to go back and find them.
gotcha.
I'm sorry, I thought I said that at the beginning. I apologize if I didn't.
I think you did. You said May.
Now?
Okay, sorry. So this is an active dashboard essentially, Cheryl?
Yep.
Mhm.
So this is the information. So Moina, maybe we can set aside some time just to see what we have in these responses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I'm glad you said something. I have not had a chance to
Okay,
get
so
in.
why don't we schedule that for the July meeting as an item?
Sure.
Okay. All right, Sharon, thank you for making a motion to adjourn. Anybody opposed? If not, we approve it unanimously, and we'll see you in 2 minutes at the foundation meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jess.
No problem. Good night.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.